toe the line here.
New data showing that economic growth is not helping the inequality gap. Robert Frank joins us now with the full story. Robert.
We are going to parse this. We are going to parse this. But do your report.
So let's do this first. The longest expansion in U.S. history has done little to reduce inequality. In fact, it's grown. The top 1% have doubled their wealth over the past decade by more than $17 trillion. Now, even during the past 2 years, we've had the strongest wage growth, very low unemployment. The 1% has surged ahead. They own 31% of the nation's wealth at the beginning of 2017. It is now 31.1%, so a slight increase there. Meanwhile, the bottom 90% have lost share during these past 2 years from 30.1 to 29.9. The top 1% now have $32 trillion in wealth. That is more than the bottom 90%. So what's driving the wealth gap, whether you look at the 2-year or 10-year? Well, one word, stocks. For most Americans, wealth comes from their houses and their salaries. Those, as we know, have grown, but not as quickly as stocks, which are the main source of wealth for the wealthy. Equities alone boosted the wealth of the top 1% by over $1.5 trillion over the past 2 years. Now, there is one way to reduce inequality, a recession. The biggest drop in inequality over the past decade was between 2008 and 2009, when the wealth of the top 1% fell by $5 trillion.
Yeah, that speaks volumes right there. But you said a lot there, Robert. I'll tell you why. At the beginning, I thought the premise was specious to some extent. When I think of growth, I think of the renewed growth just at 3% for the last couple of years. I think of the prior 8 years in the decade that you talked about as being rather tepid, for a lot of reasons. And that's when I think the Fed rightly tried to cause the wealth effect with QE. Yeah. Because we were coming out of recession. You know, if you're trying to cause the wealth effect, you're trying to get stock prices up. The people who own the stocks are going to benefit.
Although asset recovery.
I think we do leave out a lot of 401ks and a lot of, you don't think of all fat cats. A lot of people have their retirement plans.
Yeah, but as a percentage of wealth and the overall,
but the last 2 years,
wealth goes to the top.
The income inequality has actually, I would say, flattened, the getting worse the last 2 years, and most of it was in the 8 years of a previous administration.
So it hasn't flattened; it continues to rise. But my point is,
so does the stock market, though.
Correct.
For different reasons, though.
Right. My point is that Jeff Bezos adding $100 billion to his wealth over the past 2 years is not the reason we have stagnant wages.
All right,
these are two separate phenomena.